you not only to Joe but to the friends and to the sponsors of this amazing exhibition. I was just blown away to be selected. You know, it was a real honour for me. And then to win the People's Choice was like, wow, amazing. And I did get that phone call the other day, and I was thinking, I can't be presumptuous enough to think, I've won, and then I did. So it was a bit of a thrill for me. Okay, so I suppose I would actually like today to be a bit of a conversation between you and I. So feel free to ask any questions as I'm having a chat, rather than me just nattering at you. We'll have a conversation and keep it pretty relaxed, I think. I'll start with my artist statement. I'll just abbreviate the last line where I say, like little beacons of hope, they hold the light. They wave a little in the wind and whisper, slow down, breathe, and be thankful. And that's what a lot of my artwork is about. This particular exhibition is here and now, and so I grew up on the Sunshine Coast. It means a lot to me. The nature of it means a lot to me. I grew up riding my horse through all the bushlands from the back of Tanawar right down to Mooloolaba. The bushland it's just what home is. And so, oh, sorry, I'm probably in the wrong spot. So the coastal Banksia really represents, to me, here. And the now part is also, I'm going to put this down because I'm waving around. What is the coast to me now? It's growing, it's expanding, there's so much development, and nature is, I'm fearful for it, so I want to celebrate it, and I want people to really appreciate it, slow down, be thankful for it. So that's my meaning, and meanings are that's a bit of a thing I've struggled with my artwork, as to what am I trying to say? And through this process of drawing the viewer in to look at the motifs I use, such as native flowers and fauna and things. That's my meaning. If I can somehow impart transfer some of my energy into my paintings that the viewer can look at and take home, well, I've done my job. So that's how this particular piece came about. I actually was doing an artist residency at Maroochy Botanical Gardens. I don't know if any of you have been there. It's so beautiful. There's an amazing sculpture garden. It's just a really, really beautiful place to go to in Tanawar if you ever get a chance to go. And that's when this piece was, I'd started it before the residency, but then I kept working through it. And the play of light is because of, there's a beautiful big lagoon there, and there's a lot of water, and so that's where the play of light comes into it. And when I didn't want to get too, I can get a little bit fixated with my work, and I can get a bit tight. So with this particular piece, it was right, stand back, get big, blow everything up, throw everything at it, and then I worked it back. I don't know what you want to know. Do you want me to talk about this, or would you like me to talk about my technique? I can talk about my technique. All right. The way I work is on huge big screens, big silk screens like this, and I paint onto the screens with dye. It's a technique I learnt. When I left school, I went and studied textile design at RMIT when I was very young, many decades ago. And I actually learned the technique there. And then when I came back, as Joe explained, I followed that through with the textiles. And since those days, I've just morphed the technique a bit, and now I've transferred it and I work onto watercolour paper. So this is actually, I use Arches watercolour paper. And so I paint onto these big screens and then transfer that painting onto the paper. So you put the paper down, huge big printing tables, put the screen on, and you transfer the dye through the screen onto the paper. And then I let that dry, and then I go back in and work with acrylics or inks or whatever I want to and it creates a bit of tension too, because like this navy blue colour is a very flat acrylic colour which contrasts the texture and creates a tension and a pull. So it's a play between the different mediums and how I can create interest with those textures. This is one of my scarves, but so it's the same work, but this is digitally printed. Because I went and studied graphic design when I was in my 40s, I learnt a lot of computer skills. Okay, so I use a lot of my skills painting. Yes, hand that round. Yes. So I can take photographs of my paintings, then I can take it into the computer, manipulate it in the computer and make whatever I want, and so that I can't quite let go of the textile side of things. I keep, going back to it. So it's a bit of a dance. But that isn't hand painted, that is digitally printed. So I've taken a photo of an artwork that I had hand painted, taken it in the computer, made a file, sent it off to a printer, and they've printed that digitally. So it's a slightly different process to what I used to do many years ago on the veranda with the big screen printing. So,
can I ask a question? So when you lay your paper onto the screens, do you burnish? Do you do any sort of that technique of screen printing, like pushing the paper onto it? So you do create a pressure.
Yes. And
so it is a print.
Yes. But
plus.
But you don't get like screen. It's not I don't like to use the word screen printing because people then think, oh, you get lots of them. You don't. It's one.
Yeah.
That's it, and it's.
And is this the screen? When you get a chance, come and have a look at the work if you haven't come up close. There's this beautiful line through here, which is actually the top of the screen, I think. Yeah. And then you have this beautiful bleed that happens through. It's quite extraordinary the depth you get in that, because then you overwork it again. And you get overwork once it's dry.
And there's so many decisions, like all artists in the room would know, there's so many decisions when you do this. Which bits do I work with, which bits do I let go, stand back and let them do their work. So it's just constant questioning and standing back. And I never just work on one piece. I've usually got 2 or 3 or 4 pieces and I dance around them. Circle them and come back sorry. Yeah.
I love that you dance around them.
Literally. So the texture is really lovely and it can be quite subtle, which is a nice.
I particularly love the linear bits on the black. In school years ago with children, you do the black crayon and then, lots and lots of colours.
Yeah. Oh,
and then you etch them out, and I thought, are those hand painted over the black?
No.
The bits dark blue, you said?
Yeah. So that's all there. And then, I do a lot of line work, and it's just used whether I'm using a brush or whether I'm using sponges or pipettes or, I use different things to get the different lines and textures. And because they're big, it's very active. Like I'm not sitting there like this.
Yeah, they're beautiful.
So, sorry, I've got another question. So when you pull a screen, you obviously lay your ink quite strongly and full on your screen to pull that through. It's a different way. Do you place your paint in blobs, or do you paint it on and then just have it quite thin and then the paper goes on top?
No, so I paint the painting pretty much finished on the screen. And then the screen goes onto the paper, and then I use a gel. It's a gel that you put through. So you've got to wait for the screen to dry, and then you can walk away and come back. Can take days to do all your layering up. and then you squeeze in the Jello. But the gel pushes that dye through onto the cotton rag, and then onto the paper. So, and then you could do another one on the top if you want to keep doing that.
What advantage do you see in that rather than just painting it straight onto the
I get
medium? Is there a texture or something?
it's a texture, and it's the bleeding,
Oh,
which
yeah.
works so beautifully, you know, and I can manipulate that.
You still get the detail of the leaves and work.
Correct, yeah. It is very weather dependent. If it's humid, the dye will bead up, it will behave differently to a very dry, crisp day. So I have to consider all of those things. If I do a painting and leave it and then there's a big rain shower, I'll come back, the fine definition will be blurred, so I don't get that really fine
Okay, we've got probably 2 more minutes. Any other questions?
I was just going to say, you obviously have a wonderful idea of the colour that you want to create already. Because does the impact of the gel and so forth have an impact on what your
No.
is that?
Yeah, that's a good question. No, I do know. Colours, like I'm so excited by colour, so that drives a lot of my decisions is the colour. But I do know how it's going to turn out. When the dye dries on the screen, it fades, and so you can't really see it. It's just through experience, and because I've done it for so long, I know how it's going to look. My colours are, I don't ever use fluorescent colours or anything like that. I really keep to more a natural, earthy sort of base colourway. And I find this colour, which is called Mineral Blue, a fantastic neutral. It just cuts everything right back. I just like, I've got to get over it because I'm starting to use it a lot, and I've got to just pull back and do something else. But I just really respond to that colour at the moment.
So you can keep layering and layering and layering
Yes, correct.
until you finish.
Yes.
Oh my God, that's amazing. So just because we do have a lot of artists get through today, can we, I love your work and I think it's extraordinary, and really come and have a look at this beautiful work that's happening through there, that unless you stand and take that moment, which we always want everybody to stand and look at art for longer than 2 seconds, because the subtlety through here is quite extraordinary. So can we thank Farley?